YouTube viewers and gear gadget fans everywhere. Thanks for tuning into the WatchBox review today. I got a fun review for us here. Today we're going to take a close look at the Stuhrling Original SeaHawk. And that's the watch you see here on my 62mm wide wrist. It's a very wide, flat case shape and it fits me very comfortably. Okay, so let's take the watch off and hammer out the technical specs. So first of all, the overall lug end to lug end length is 54 millimeters. The bezel diameter is 44 millimeters diameter. It doesn't really have like a unidirectional or rotating dive bezel, but the circular bezel area here is 44 millimeters. The case width, including the crown, is 53 millimeters across. The crown is a 9.5 diameter tall canteen cover, and it has a 10 millimeter diameter. And it simply unscrews like this to expose the actual crown, which is a small little knurled kind of a crown inside of a cap. Okay, and to tighten it back up, you simply tighten and it secures. So the slightly domed Cristerna crystal window is 36 millimeters across, and the overall case thickness from the crest of the slightly domed crystal to the flat of the caseback is 14 millimeters tall. Okay, so let's take a close look here into the caseback, and what you're seeing is a standard screw-in caseback. It's an exhibition type window, and you see the name and model number designated around the perimeter. And together that caseback with the canteen cover crown achieve 10 ATMs of water case pressure resistance. So this isn't the watch I normally wear into the water, but I have taken it into the water, and when you get it wet, you want to make sure your canteen crown is securely fastened. Although it does have, I've taken the watch apart, and it does have a second O-ring down into the case here to seal out water, and it also has an O-ring out on top here to seat against the canteen cap. So let's take a look, anyways, taking a look back into the exhibition window on the case back. You can see the Stuhrling Original automatic movement that's in here. It looks like a Stuhrling in-house movement, but it really isn't. Stuhrling's, I guess, business model is they source movements from all over the world and they fine-tune them. They tweak them, they fine-tune them. This particular movement is a, oh gosh, I hope, is a Dismont Guangzhou, I think I'm pronouncing that right, a Dismont Guangzhou 2813 automatic movement. It's designed to be a drop-in replacement for the Citizen Miyota 8215, and you can find this movement anywhere online for about $15–20. It's basically a drop-in engine type movement. But what Stuhrling does is their business model is they bring these movements in and they take them apart a little bit, they fine-tune some of the chassis parts, they regrind, they resurface, they brush and they polish things to shine them up a little bit, and they reassemble them using colored screws, and they slap on a Stuhrling Original wind rotor. So it looks like an in-house movement, and if you misinterpret what you see, you could mistake it as being a Stuhrling in-house movement, but it really isn't. It's a simple garden variety, modified, slightly tweaked DG 2813 in this case. So it uses a one-way directional winding rotor in addition to manual winding at the crown, and I think it's got about a 30-hour power reserve capacity. So I've never had any problems keeping this movement wound. I simply give it 10 or 15 turns of the wind crown in the morning, and I simply wear it, and the wind rotor keeps the watch sufficiently powered. I believe it's a 21,500 heartbeat on the balance wheel. And if you look closely into the movement, if you look under the balance wheel, that's usually where the Chinese movement makers will stamp their company logo. So in the case of the DG movements, they'll stamp a little crown logo. Kind of looks like a Rolex crown actually, but anyways, it's a little crown logo underneath the balance wheel, and if you look in there with like a flashlight, you can definitely see it. So let's see, let's take a close look here into the business end, and we're looking into the dial. It's a very bold, distinct military homage style, I think. I think it's more influenced by like the Elgin and Hamilton World War II like Navy frogmen designs of that era. It's simply too small to be like a Russian diver homage or something like that, even though it does have a screw-in crown, but I think it more heavily resembles the older World War II frogmen type designs. And you can see there it's got a slightly skeletonized date window. I'm not a huge fan of skeletonized date windows. I see some date windows like go all the way around the dial, and that just does nothing for me. About as much as much the most amount of skeletonization I can handle on my date windows is maybe yesterday's date and tomorrow's date. That's about as far as I can go, and this watch delivers on that. Oh, by the way, this watch has been heavily modified, so I was kind of hesitant to review a modified watch, but the first of all is this leather strap here is not the OEM strap, but secondly, I've removed the sweep second hand. Now, why would I do that? That's crazy. You know, the other thing about this movement is it hacks. Okay, so the minute you unscrew the crown and pull the crown, your second hand motion stops. So why on earth would you defeat the purpose of a hacking automatic movement by removing your second hand? Well, for me, and I guess my preferences, I like a simple, easy reading dial, and I think this style of watch, again, resembles the military homages and styles from World War II. So I take the second hand off, and I like it. I've done that with a couple watches now, and I really like it. So when you buy this watch, yours actually is going to look like this. Someone else's picture. I apologize to whomever this is, but anyways, an orange strap, and you see there at the 3 o'clock position, maybe 3:15 position, you see a sweep second hand. So let's see, overall quality is pretty good. You got really nice case finishing, and the brush finishing is really nice. The crystal window is really nicely done. I did have this little screw come loose one day, and I lost it, and I had to hunt and peck for it, and I finally found it, and I got lucky, and I found it, and I was able to retighten it. So double check. There's quite a few screws here on this assembly, on this crown assembly. Double check those when you get yours out of the box. Give it a little, use a jeweler's screwdriver or a small electronic screwdriver. Give it a little torque, not over tight, just a little torque. Make sure everything's tight and fastened, and you're good to go. A word on the stock OEM strap. In fact, this black strap you're seeing here is a cheapy one I bought from Target, I think, or one of those places. In fact, you can see some of the stitching falling apart, and that's very typical for a, what, $15, $12 strap. But it's really thick, and it's really well padded, really thick. It fits the case lugs really nicely, and as cheap as it is, I happen to like it, and it's really comfortable. So, but anyways, the OEM strap, as you saw earlier in that other guy's picture, the OEM strap is orange and stitched. It's got a couple keepers on it, a nice stainless steel brushed buckle. It's a little thin though. That's one thing I didn't like about it. It's just too thin for the lugs. I don't like my case lugs sticking out too far from the strap. So that's one of the reasons why I did go with an aftermarket strap, even though it technically is an aftermarket cheap strap. Eventually, I'll probably get a nice Panatime or something really good for it. But anyways, the stock strap is 22 millimeters here, and it tapers down to 20 millimeters at the buckle. So here's the other side of the strap. Nice, serviceable, decently good. This watch is pretty standard. It's a 22 millimeter wide strap lug width, and it uses generic garden variety spring bars. So any OEM strap, or I'm sorry, any aftermarket strap that you can find that'll fit those two criteria, you're good to go. I normally wear this watch on a Zulu 5-ring, particularly in the summer when I want to get it wet, or I don't have to worry about getting the watch wet or whatever, because generally leather does not like water. But I like the look of the leather much better. It just looks better. You know, military straps, yeah, they're kind of cool, durable, whatever. But I really like the look and the appearance of stitched leather. Okay, so let's see. Let's take a close look here at the luminescent properties. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to charge the dial up with my 120 lumen flashlight. This is not my brightest flashlight by far, but I think 120 lumens is a pretty good representation of the flashlights you can find at like Home Depot or Orchard Supply Hardware, places like that. So, and we are good to go. Okay, let's go do this here down the hall where it's significantly darker. Okay, here we go. Go past. There's the Christmas tree. Happy holidays, everyone. Okay, whoops. I didn't close the doorway at the end of the hallway. And hopefully I'm not covering the microphone. There you go. So there's a little bit of ambient light here in this hallway, and you can see there the hands on this watch glow really bright, and they're really good quality, super luminova, but the dial flat out stinks. And hopefully you can see that here. The dial is kind of fading. while the hands are remaining perfectly bright. So just a word out to everybody, just because you see super luminova on a watch, don't automatically assume it's going to be very well applied super luminova. My experience is super luminova in thin applications can be just as bad as anything, and practically non-existent, quite literally, after a short amount of time in the dark. And you can see that here in this video as it kind of fades out. So, okay, so that's pretty much it. I wish the dial glowed even half as bright as the hands. I mean, these hands are awesome. I can see these hands clearly, legibly through the night, where the dial just bombs, you know. And that was a pretty big disappointment for me, being how big and how broad the luminescent patches are on that dial. It just doesn't glow. It just loses power. It's so weak, you know. So anyhow, I still enjoy wearing the watch. I love a watch that glows, but it's not the end all for me. What makes a good watch and what makes a bad watch and what have you. So anyhow, that's pretty much it. This watch has been discontinued now for, gosh, at least 2 years, I guess. So you have to hunt and peck for one of these. I kind of waited around. The Watch You Seek used buy, sell, trade form when this one came around, and I snagged it for $85. I think when they were making them, they were around the $130, $120 mark. But they also make, you know, mine's obviously started out with the orange strap. They also make a black strap version, kind of basically like what you see here. They also make a really nice stainless bracelet model. So that one's kind of got my attention now too. I like the style, and there's a really nice bracelet version that I might want to pick up sometime in the near future. So anyhow, I want to say thanks to you guys, and thanks for taking the time here to sit in and check out this Stuhrling SeaHawk. I'll catch you guys later. Thanks. Bye.